can't believe it. They pulled it out. What a call. What a play. What a game.
My Brooklyn, cause she outside. Today, Riasi, we still outside. Bond on the richest, heart in the trenches. You can't throw dirt on the underground, we thrive in it. Ghana boys stocks on the rise, Charlie. This flex know they ready. See, we were not the ride nobody with. We're the ones who started with it. Translation: Yanni had to buy, Yanni had Yanni hits. This goes so hard, even the ops go with it. That's how you know we lit.
Trust, we ain't taking no loss. We be the hottest on the scene. Gemstones from the dust. Big dog, but she leash. Where's the love in the streets? For my heart on the beat. See that blood on my sheets. Yeah, when we ready, me hit it heavy. I zoom out the pride of my people already. Them I see Ellie. Me, I'm just sharing my journey. I'm thankful that people they hear me. Tribe of Joseph, I'm ahead of the bunch. P5, I was starving for months. A running cutscene, but on my pockets, me knew my DNA. Invaded for lunch, but we call me a star before BBC. Don't take a lot to get rid of me. Me and them know that the same. Me and them know that the same. Boy, that they gonna know who the name is. They say I move like I'm nameless. Cause I only come for the money bags. And I don't really wanna be famous, man. You know what's stop. You know what's stop. You know pretend. You know the lie. You know be gang. You know what's stop.
We going crazy, we at the top and we never gonna stop. Hop in the ghost, I'ma get swayzy. I just got off of the jet and I cry. My I win in a Humvee a lot. I be on go cause I come from the shot. I'm shooting back, I ain't ducking no shots. Got power like Samson, I cut off the locks. Sharek, Timmer, in the cut like I'm Fredo Santana. Buju Banton, I hop in the Bama, the world is mine. I'm Tony Montana, I'm Pelican Fly. Diamonds on me cause I'm rapping a rock. I'ma go hard, I ain't killing them soft. I'm up in the hills, I feel like I'm Lauren, you ready or not? I like who got businesses, I'm CEO of mine. 1980 Prezi Rolly, we been working overtime. The witness, the police, the pigs, I don't eat swine. Son of Jacob, this biblical, my flow, the holy God. Save money ground up in the gutter where they found us. Stones in the faint Mount Rush. More vacays, more bucks, more race, more foreign trucks, more on a tour bus, more pour cup. Toast to the winners, throw it up.
Yeah. You're in the presence of the realest essence. I've been serving lessons since the days of my adolescence. On the Cypress block, young buck holding it like we knew it all. Not afraid to do it all. Matter of fact, to look back and do it all. I can remember the haters say the game will ruin y'all. What's that to me? Don't give about a hater. Let them like the in my paper.
They call me Big Dog, riding with the hillbilly. Cubone staying with the lick. Really became a boss many years back. When I'm gone, can be pull your tears back. We put the bang and produce. You got no chance of hanging. They take the tails when you flipping the quarter. We ain't slowing down, we crashing through the border.
DA Sports coverage of the NFL has us on the west coast of the Sunshine State. Downtown Tampa's the spot, Raymond James Stadium. Today, we reach Week 15, and we've got a good matchup in store between the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. here's Will Lutz ready to get this one started. And off we go from Tampa. From a couple yards deep, he'll bring it out of the end zone. And they'll get him down right around the 25, actually the 26 officially, so a net gain of 1 there. First and 10, and they've got 3 tight ends out there. A jumbo package look. They'll start out on the ground. It's Leonard Fournette. And this will be a gain of 5 as he gets it to the 30. Well, these two teams hooking up for the second time this year. They first met back in October, week 7. And it was the visitors getting the win there, so they'll be looking for the sweep back here at home. Fournette once more on second down. And he is met in his tracks behind the line of scrimmage. A loss on that play, and now third down gets tougher. 3rd and 6.
This defense is a difficult one to prepare for, one of the best in the league. They'll come at you from all angles, and they did a nice job there stopping him for a loss.
This defense looking for an early stop. This is 3rd down and 6. Now it's Wilson. And that's going to be incomplete. But, man, his first throw, that nearly went the other way. Instead, it's 4th down. 4th down, so Jake Camarda is out there. Football. And they are going to set up shop at the 32-yard line.
I remember sitting in special teams meetings, and at some point during the meeting, the coach would always say, you better treat this one just like you're playing offense or defense. It's a big part of the game, and we just saw evidence of why right there with that fumble.
Yeah, fumble on the punt, and after it was turning up to be a pretty decent return.
Yeah, a really nice return. They were going to be set up okay, and the offense would feel good running onto the field. And now the defense has to try it out there and try and slow them down.
They'll start by running the option to the right. And he'll go down at the 26 following a gain of 6. Now that's what he can do, when he keeps the football. It's not a huge gain, but it shows how hard it can be to stop him.
Yeah, and I thought the defense had that one pretty well contained, and in fact, they probably came up and felt pretty good about what they did. Then they looked up and realized he still got good yardage out of it. He's a tough guy to stop.
Now left side, a completion to his tight end. And they're going to move it down inside the 25.
Well, that was an okay hook up there with his tight end, but unfortunately, they didn't get the kind of yards they had hoped for. That's going to bring up 3rd down.
New Orleans adding some depth to the secondary. They've got 6 DBs out there now for 3rd. And they'll go jet sweep to try to pick it up. And he will have the first down across the 20 to the 19-yard line. So here's a 1st and 10 now down inside the 20. Fournette running out of the gun. And just a couple yards there down to the 17.
And the big fella stuffed that one up in a big way. I think doubling him has to be a priority because you can't move up to the next level if you don't take care of him first.
The last run good for 2. Here's 2nd and 8.
56. 56 right there, 56. Let's go. Shoot. Watch the shoot.
They'll run it again with Fournette. And he's able to work it here to the 8-yard line.
Well, there's plenty of real estate for him to maneuver on that run, and let's face it, it shouldn't be a surprise. He's one of the better backs in the league. Had to come into this game with the idea, slow him down, otherwise it's going to be a long afternoon.
He's crashing.
Oh, they're going to run a little pop pass here.
And a lot of times these plays, they either go for nothing or they go for big yardage. And here, they got to the outside, turned it upfield, and ended up getting a nice little gain out of it.
From the 2 now, 2nd and goal. And he'll take it into the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette with career touchdown number 70. And the Bucs will jump on top with the game's first score here this afternoon. Extra point by McCann, up and good. And it's now a 7-0 game. The kickoff unit is out on the field, and they will send this one away. They'll try and start this drive in the air. To the right side and complete to Thomas. And past the 40 before he's out of bounds. 16 yards right off the bat and a first down.
Of course, the catch was nice, but how about what happened after? Able to stay on his feet and gain all that additional yardage. So many of these slot guys, I think, have running back in their background.
Now a first carry for Melvin Gordon. And he'll be taken down at about the 45. Well, this defense for the Buccaneers, they played extremely well last week in that win over Green Bay.
And I'm eager to see the game plan and trying to attack them this week, because when you take it away 4 times through interceptions, what do you do now when you go into a game? Do you decide you can't throw the ball? Do you try and run it more? Or do you tell your quarterback, make sure you see your guys open before you deliver?
The offense knew it. They were already starting to walk back as that one is accepted. They'll look to throw. They'll get this out to Kamara. And they'll get him down on the other side of midfield.
Well, I think when they look at their offense, they think to themselves, weapons everywhere. And they want to move the ball around. They want to spread it to different people. But you absolutely know they want to get this man involved as well. And that's what they just did on that play.
They'll run it for the first time with Alvin Kamara. Down to about the 45.
And that was a quality play to start a new set of downs. That was simply an offensive line winning the battle up front and winning in a big way and giving their guy in the backfield a nice lane to hit.
Following the pickup of 4, here's 2nd and 6. And they will stop him after a fairly minimal pickup.
Watching that play unfold and watching him complete it brought back memories of doing all those pursuit drills to make sure you don't over-pursue and let a guy get a cutback lane on you. He did that very well.
You praised him on tape yesterday for the angles that he takes to the ball. Took a great angle right there. On 3rd down, here's Kamara. And he'll be taken down, but he does have first down yardage. Give him 6 yards, and they do convert on 3rd. If you start assessing what went wrong last week, Charles, in their loss, had nothing to do with the ground game. They ran it well.
And you also have to say to yourself as a team, don't go away from what worked. That's not the reason the game was lost. Running the football over time, when you do it consistently, usually translates into wins.
And they're hoping to do it consistently here. So here's a 1st and 10 at the 38. Now they'll switch it up here and look to throw. There's Chris Olave. He'll be hit down at the 33, 5 yards on the play. Hands it off out of the gun. And he's going to be brought down on what will be the final play of this first quarter. After one, 7-0 on EA Sports. They'll look to throw now on 1st down. And that is incomplete. He couldn't hold on through the contact. Brings up 2nd down.
And that's one of those plays where it's hard to keep 2 eyes on the football when you know the contact's coming, let alone getting 2 hands around it, hugging it to your body, and absorbing the hit, even for those big tight ends who you would think could absorb that contact.
So now they'll come up on 2nd and 10, once again from the 28. He'll drop to throw. This is complete to Michael Thomas. And he'll be brought down at the 27.
As a defense, you're more balanced when you're in zone coverage because you're able to keep your eyes on the quarterback and see the play develop in front of you. They're able to keep the quick pass in front of them and stop it right at the line of scrimmage.
They'll come to the line here needing 9 yards to pick up the first. Out of the gun now on 3rd down. He's going to go up top for the end zone. And this is caught. For the moment, it's a touchdown, but multiple flags down, so let's sort this out.
Well, partner, I mean, if anybody was still questioning whether or not he had an NFL caliber arm, I think you can toss that right out the window. That was a heck of a throw right there.
I would agree totally. Question it no more. This rookie, big-time throw right there. Great poise, stepped up, trusted he could lay it in there perfectly, and he knew that his guy was going to make the catch on the other end. Nice collaboration.
And that'll carry over the back line of the end zone for a touchback. Bucs offense set to begin their next possession.
So both of these teams, Charles, coming off touchdowns now, but this offense, they just had to stand on the sideline, watch their opponent author a really impressive drive to reach the end zone.
Yeah, and I think you're not telling yourself the truth if you don't think there's some one-upsmanship going on right now, because they just had their touchdown answered by a drive of double-digit plays that also found the end zone. Now they want to do something even more impressive to answer that one.
They'll come up now 2nd and 4 from the 31. Again, it's Fournette, and he is going to be stopped cold behind the line of scrimmage. Call that a loss of a yard, and things get a little more difficult here, 3rd and 5.
With his size, he's a tough man to bring down, but they do a nice job there stopping his progress and not allowing him to get back to the line of scrimmage.
They'll need 5 on this play to move the sticks.
Now Wilson. Got his man. It's Arcega-Whiteside. And he'll be hauled down at about the 30-yard line.
Oftentimes now offenses aren't nearly as precise as days gone by. They just saw receivers find an open patch of grass and let the quarterback find you. And that's exactly what they did on that play. First with the pass through the air, nice chunk of yardage there, and then additional pickup with his legs after the catch.
Fournette, a first down carry. 2 yards that time, a stark contrast from the big chunk on the previous play. The Buccaneers had 8-5 to start play, and they come in on a pretty good roll here, winners of 3 straight.
And I thought that they played pretty well last week. Their execution, their discipline, their resilience, all on display in that victory.
Second down, back to Fournette. And he's brought down at the 24 after a gain of 4.
So if you've been playing defense in this one, there's a little bit of the good and some bad, because they did give up the touchdown run to him earlier, but shut him down otherwise.
Outside of that, you're exactly right. I would say they've contained him very well. This offense so far on third down, they've been okay. 2 for 3 thus far. This is 3rd and 4. Wilson. That's over the middle and caught by Arcega-Whiteside. And able to get him down, but he does reach the 5. 19 yards that time for number 19.
And that could be one of those turning point plays in a ball game. A field goal gets you the lead here, but they want to make a statement and get 6 points. And they're certainly going to get that opportunity as they get the conversion and set up 1st and goal.
They'll try and run for it with Fournette. And he gets him a little bit closer. He takes it from the 6 inside the 5 to the 4.
And a nice job defensively to keep him out of the end zone. He was trying to get his 2nd touchdown already in the first half.
They had that one earlier, was bidding for a 2nd. Second and goal from inside the 5. From the shotgun, Wilson. And he's got it. Caught in the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. A great effort there. His 26th touchdown, drawing even with Marshall Faulk for the 4th most in a single season. And the Buccaneers have taken the lead. Extra point by McCann, up and good. And that makes the score 14-7. Set now to kick this one away, and off it goes. And not willing to risk another fumble. He'll sit on this one. It's a touchback. The Saints offense on the field, ready to get their drive started. And the stakes in this game certainly high as we get toward the end of the regular season. For now, they are holding a wild card spot, but there are no shortage of other teams in the NFC looking to take that spot from them.
Starting with the guys on the other side of the field, because they're on the outside looking in, and no one likes to be in that position. You want to be in the room, not looking inside to see everyone else having fun.
So the big play moves them all the way across midfield. It's 1st and 10 from the 45. They'll pound it up the middle with Kamara. 5 yards is the tally on 1st down. That brings up 2nd and 5.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty right there. Look at how quick those blockers fired off the line once the ball was snapped. That was an O-line on a mission, all in sync, and the defense is lucky that play only picked up 5 yards.
After the pickup of 5, here's 2nd and 5. From the gun, they'll try to run it. Still a couple yards short of the 1st as the 3-yard gain brings up a 3rd down.
But that call makes sense because they've been throwing it well on this drive, and once again they show passing formation, showing the shotgun. Then they ran out of it. That's a nice play by them defensively, though, to hold it to a short gain.
We've hit the 2-minute mark of the 2nd quarter. 14-7. A reminder, once we hit halftime, as we do all season, we'll send it down to Jonathan Coachman in Orlando. He'll have all the stats and scores from games in progress around the NFL.
The best multitasker in the business, the coach.
The Bucs with an extra defender now in the secondary here on third down. Here's Kamara trying to run for it. And I don't think Kamara got there. Looks like they stopped him short. A loss of a yard, and it brings up fourth. The Saints going to call the first of their timeouts. So as they take it over, we step aside. Looking to throw. Open man is the tight end Troutman. And they'll work this down inside the 30.
We always talk about big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments. I think that fourth down qualified. That was a heck of a throw.
So the drive stays alive after the fourth down conversion. 1st and 10 inside the 30. From the gun, it's a run for Kamara. He'll get a nice chunk there on the first down run, and it's 2nd and 4.
Even though they gave up more than they wanted to on that play, it actually illustrates how well they bottled him up throughout the game, because that was his longest run of this contest.
The last run got 6, now 2nd and 4. Again, it's Kamara. And he's taken down after a gain of 3 as they move it from the 22 to the 19.
Typically, we think it's the strong safeties that are better tacklers, especially closer to the line of scrimmage amidst traffic. But in this case, how about the free safety coming up and making the big-time play?
This will be play number 8 here on the drive. It's 3rd and a yard. They'll try and run it. Here's Gordon. And he gets this down to the 18. Good enough for a first down. Now we'll get a quick timeout called by New Orleans, number 2, as the clock will stop with 33 seconds to go in the first half. So from inside the 20, here's 1st and 10 at the 18. Back to throw here. Tries the left side and finds Olave. And they'll lose yardage here. Knocked back to the 19-yard line. 2nd and 11. This is caught. Touchdown, Saints. Adam Troutman in the final seconds of the first half. And the Saints have a chance to tie the game here in the final seconds of the half. Lutz good on the extra point. And that is going to tie our game as we approach halftime. This one tied at 14 now as he sends this one away. And this will not be returnable. It's out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. The Tampa offense ready to get their drive started. And with 7 seconds remaining, not much time to really do anything. An opening there on that first down run as he gets this forward for about 8 or 9. That looks to be 8 officially, so 2nd and 2. They'll keep it on the ground again here. And getting this just shy of midfield, they'll spot it at the 49. So we've hit halftime all even at 14 apiece. As we send you a stone's throw away across I-4 to Orlando. There standing by is Jonathan Coachman, ready with our EA Sports Halftime Report. Coach. And ready to get the party started for the second half. It was an even first half, all tied on the scoreboard. And this will be a touchback as that sails over the end line. The Saints offense on the field, ready to get their drive started.
This offense ready for the first drive of the third quarter. Well, quarters number 1 and 2 entertaining. We saw some good offense points put up, Charles, and all tied on the scoreboard.
And it sets us up for what could be a really fun second half because we've seen both sides score almost at will here in the first half. And now, here in the second half, getting the ball first, you've got to think, hey, we can go out and really run our offense the way we did in the first half. But if I'm a defensive player, all I'm thinking is, can I make a play to really help out my team and break this streak of offense?
Now he'll look to throw here on 2nd and 10. Open man is Ross, complete. And he gets this one just shy of the 40, down at the 39. Just his second catch of the game so far. This one moves the chains.
And that's a more than acceptable read right there because it's zone coverage, so timing is everything. This time he waits for his man to come open, puts it right on him, and they pick up a first down.
Knifes his way forward here, but just 3 yards on the play, second down.
Sometimes with the running game, you just got to stick with it. Look, it's the third quarter, no time to panic. But that also doesn't mean you just do it the same way you've been doing it the entire ball game. Maybe change up some blocking assignments or run a few different plays, but stay with the overall essence of the running game.
Here's a 2nd and 7.
Throw left side complete to Troutman.
And he goes out of bounds. It looks like right at the 50. That one, a first down pickup of 8.
I got a kick out of that one, partner. You and I talk often about trying to hide receivers in certain situations, but a guy of his size can't really hide him. But the tight end drag route, definitely an effective way to sneak him across the formation for an easy completion and a first down.
Now a first down carry. It's Kamara.
And he works his way forward to pick up 4 yards there, second down.
Well, at the end of all that hitting and hollering, it was a 4-yard run, so the offense is going to go back to huddle and feel pretty good about themselves. Defensively, you have to feel okay because you didn't let it turn into a bigger run, but the goal, shut it down for 2 yards or less. That's when you start to feel good about yourselves.
The run got 4. Now they deal with a 2nd and 6. A 10th carry for Kamara.
And a strong run there as he'll take this all the way down to the 35. 41 yards rushing for him now on what was his 10th carry of the ball game.
First downs have not come easy, and neither have runs like this throughout this game.
Absolutely not. He finally felt like, whoa, a sigh of relief. We got something going in the running game. So after the run by Kamara, now another 1st and 10. They'll set up to throw.
Oh, the slant complete to Michael Thomas. And he'll be marked down right at the 20-yard line.
Well, coaches always talk about finding balance on offense. I don't think you can get much more balance than this. Big-time run, big-time pass.
A 1-2 combination. Looked pretty good.
How about that? Let's see if they can continue to take that kind of a punch, though.
Kamara up the middle. And he'll get this one down to about the 17. Shaquille Barrett in on the tackle.
When a drive goes this long, you have to give a lot of credit to the guys up front, those big fellas, because the offensive line is putting something together that allows them to continue to control the ball. And I know a lot of people think they get fatigued on a long drive. Actually, a lot of times the reverse happens. They actually get energized because they're controlling the ball, and they're the ones dictating to the defense.
That's to his running back. It's Alvin Kamara. And they're going to get this down inside the 15. And just in general, Charles, on a play like that, how tough is it for the defense to account for a running back essentially being a receiver downfield?
It's very difficult, especially if the running back has skills like a receiver, and you're aware of that before the game even begins. So throughout your practice sessions, you're going to want to be aware of him. Where is he lining up? What can he do? What kind of damage can he do to us downfield? And who can match up with him without weakening our overall defense? You're exactly right. It's a tough task to match up to him.
Open man is Michael Thomas. Touchdown! Michael Thomas, his 6th touchdown of the season. And the Saints have taken the lead as they go right down the field and score on the opening drive of the second half. Lutz with the extra point, and the lead is now 21-14. After the touchdown, Lutz to kick it off. And no return on this one as the fair catch is signaled for and taken. Bucs offense set to begin their next possession. Well, Charles, you and I said at intermission, feels like we're set up for a good second half. Well, the other side scored. Now it's up to them to answer. How do they respond here with their first drive of the second half?
Well, bottom line is they just saw the ball go in the end zone against their defense, and they saw what good offense looks like. They believe they've got a good offense as well. Run the best plays you've got to the top performers you have, and try and move that ball down the field for an answering score.
Third quarter of a tight football game as we come up on a 2nd and 10. And now a jet sweep. This is Evans with it. And this will be a gain of 5 as he gets it to the 30.
Defensively, they had that one pretty well figured out.
Yeah, and one of the things about this play, it can be even more effective when you run a lot of motion, and there's plenty of times you don't hand it off.
And now the Saints are going to take a timeout on defense. It's just their first, so 2 remaining as they burn one here in this third quarter.
Set, ready. 60 Pittsburgh. Go. Game situation. Let's go.
Now it's Wilson. And that will be incomplete. Well, the other day they told us when we've got 3rd and 5 or less, we have to be able to convert. And I guess every team would say that, Charles, but an opportunity missed there.
What they were trying to tell us is they believe it's a matchup game at that point. And they liked some matchups that they had, thought they could exploit them, unable to do so on that play.
Now a hit and a loose football. And he returns it to the end zone. A fumble recovery touchdown for the Bucs.
McCann now for the extra point.
He's got it, and we're all tied at 21. Couple of teams locked into a good one here. 21 all the score as the kick's away. The Saints offense on the field ready to get their drive started.
This drive here beginning probably with a pair of motivated groups. Remember, the offense scored a touchdown On their last time out, looking to repeat that in Charles' defense. They were very frustrated after giving up 6 the last time on the field.
And frankly, it's just a battle of wills in a lot of ways because you know they're both motivated. They both game plan for this drive, and they both have specific outcomes in mind. To me, it just comes down to who can execute better and which side can step up and assert its will over the other.
Now on first down, he'll drop to throw it. His throw incomplete. To give you an idea of how accurate he's been throwing the football, we're in the second half. That's just his second incompletion.
Well, if he's that locked in, that means everyone's locked in because to me it's like throwing a no-hitter in baseball. The pitcher may get the credit. A lot of people making plays behind him in the field.
He'll try again with the arm here on second down. Got a man open. It's Ross.
And they'll get this down to around the 47-yard line.
I'll tell you what, a lot of those mid-range throws have been available because sometimes teams get too concerned about the deep ball and they leave too much space in front of them, and these guys have been taking advantage so far.
Here's Kamara out of the pistol as he's got this down inside the 40 to the 39.
51 yards rushing for him now to this point.
Well, no matter how they phrase it, staying on schedule, staying ahead of the sticks, whatever you want to call it, 7 yards on first down, that fits the bill.
So they'll come up after the gain of 7 on a 2nd and 3. He'll look to throw.
He'll get this to his tight end, Troutman. And they're going to work this down to about the 32-yard line.
That was a route run not just with dexterity, but with intelligence. Found the hole in the zone, made sure the quarterback saw him, and was able to make the sure catch and flip the down marker back to 1.
We're off to the 4th quarter here in Week 15. Happy holidays to all. We'll return with more after this. You're watching the NFL on EA Sports. From the 32 now, here's 1st and 10. Now a handoff. Here's Kamara. And he's going to take this one down to the 25.
That's a strong pickup right there on first down. And as this drive goes on, we're seeing an offensive line and running game imposing its will.
A good run, got 7 on first. Here's 2nd and 3. They run it again with Kamara. And this won't be enough to pick up the first. A gain of 2, 3rd and 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a force of nature at the defensive tackle position. Yes, he's as big as they come, but still plenty agile. He's able to make a nice play there to swallow up the ball carrier.
The Saints on 3rd down. They've been near perfect. 4 for 5 to this point. They need just a yard here. It's 3rd and 1. From the gun, he'll hand this off. And he will have a first down at about the 21-yard line.
Most of their damage has been done through the air. I mean, they've rung the bell 3 times with passing touchdowns, but guess what? Ground game has not been neglected. Nice little burst right there.
They'll look to throw here on first down. And that's going to be incomplete.
We know it's not an easy job to go out and catch passes when people are trying to tackle you and knock the ball away. But the bottom line is, that's a pass he's got to have and a pass he should have caught.
From the 21, it's 2nd and 10. They'll drop to throw. And it's caught. Touchdown, Saints. Michael Thomas with his second touchdown of the afternoon. And the Saints have broken our tie and have taken a fourth-quarter lead. Lutz good on the extra point, and they will take a 7-point lead. After the touchdown, Lutz to kick it off. And they will not get a chance to return this one as it's through the end zone for a touchback. The Tampa offense ready to get their drive started. They now trail by 7 after that last touchdown here in the fourth quarter. What a big spot for this offense. See if they can cobble something together on this drive. And he's free going down the left side. It's a foot race. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. A great play there. His second touchdown of the afternoon. And the Buccaneers are an extra point away from tying this game here in the fourth. Don't forget the extra point. It's up and good. And an important one that is, as we are all tied now early in this fourth quarter. So right back to square one. Tied at 28 as he kicks it away. And not willing to risk another fumble. He'll sit on this one. It's a touchback. They start the drive on the ground. Kamara. And he's going to be met at the line of scrimmage and taken down. Brought down in the play by the linebacker, Christian Harris.
As usual, the hallmark of a good run defense, linebackers making plays near the line of scrimmage. Absolutely nowhere to run there.
Back to throw now on 2nd and 10. And this throw incomplete. Well, the defender all over him that time, but it's going to lead to 3rd down.
It's easy to see when we review this that the ball needs to come out quicker, because if you don't throw it right on the break, you bring a crowd of people into the equation.
And that's why it got knocked away there. On 3rd down, he'll drop to throw. And this is going to be incomplete. They don't get the hook up there, but you really have to marvel at how precise he's been throwing the football these last couple weeks.
Oh, that's the perfect word for it, precise, because if you're at 70% or better 2 weeks in a row, you have a job as long as you want one in this league, won't you? I mean, let's face it, it's not just West Coast offense either. He's putting the ball downfield as well.
Now back to throw. Oh, look at Thomas wide open. And he is going to have the Saints first down as they manage to convert. And that'll keep the drive alive. It goes as a pickup of 23. And that leads to a New Orleans first down. A man who's been busy this afternoon. It's Kamara again. And he's going to take this one down inside the 45. 69 yards rushing for him now in the ball game.
And there we saw one of the downsides of blitzing during a rundown, because sometimes you get out of your gaps. You don't fit the run quite as well because you're headed towards the ball carrier with abandon.
A carry here for the big tight end. 2 yards, good enough for a first.
This has been an up and down, back and forth type of a game, hasn't it? Maybe this long drive can take a little bit of the wind out of their sails, kind of settle things down a little bit.
On first down, he'll drop to throw. Catch here, left side. Oh, no, he lost the football. And it's picked up by the Buccaneers.
Well, so much for the 4-minute offense. They were trying to reduce the clock, get in position to win the game, and leave no time for them to come back and catch them. And guess what? They turned the ball over. Yeah, I mean, they had it all set up for themselves, and they let it get away.
The Bucs offense set to begin their next possession. The fumble recovery certainly has put them in the driver's seat. 1st and 10, all time. There he goes, left side. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. A big play there. 55 yards. And the Buccaneers strike quickly to take the lead here in the 4th. Extra point by McCann, up and good. And they will take a 7-point lead. The kickoff team on the field now as they will send this one away. And here comes a return from just beyond the goal line. And they'll start this drive just across the 30. Pretty nice work on the return. The Saints offense on the field ready to get their drive started. And now, after the touchdown a moment ago, they work from behind in a 7-point game in this 4th quarter. Plenty of time on the clock. And he'll be tackled right on the chalk of the 45. 15 yards is the pickup there, and the drive starting very nicely. 1st down.
I like the design that we're seeing right there. This is what they need. Down by a touchdown here in the 4th. They just need to keep working their way downfield. And when they see openings, take their shots.
There's a ball thrown right side and complete. And he'll go down, but not before getting this inside the 30. Another big play as they get 28 out of that one. Another good throw there in what has been a strong rookie season to this point, Charles, as he now has surpassed the 3,000-yard mark with that last completion.
And just think, he's been forced to learn on the job here in his 1st year. Normally, veterans talk about, hey, I've got the answers to the test before the game even begins. But this guy's taking the test with every throw, with every game. And so far, he's passing with flying colors. And not a common sight, at least on this drive. A momentary setback, though, for this passing game that has been moving well this series. Good thing for them, though. Still 2 more downs to connect and try and pick up another 1st down.
They'll look to throw again. Olave over the middle. And he's brought down inside the 20 at the 18-yard line.
I always laugh when people say, what's the toughest route to defend? And I'm like, any of them, especially if it's a good receiver. That makes things very difficult. But when you're running a drag route, something short, shallow, going through defenders, using guys almost as screens in order to get open, that makes things tougher, guys trying to get to the football.
On 3rd down, here's Kamara. And he'll have the 1st down, getting this one to the 14-yard line. They're able to convert with a gain of 4.
They had yet to run the ball at all on this drive, but 3rd and short, definitely was a great time to dial one up.
4th quarter, down to the final 2 minutes, and we've got a 1-score game. So it's Saints football as we get you reset. They come up on a 1st and 10, desperately needing a score here on what could be their final drive. The drive continues as they search for a tying touchdown. Here's 1st and 10. Off the play fake, he'll look to throw. Throwing for his running back, and he's got him complete. And they're going to be set up now with the ball at the 13-yard line.
It drives some people crazy to see those short throws underneath. They've got to find a way to gash the defense downfield.
On 2nd down, Kamara. And he'll get this one down to about the 10-yard line. So it's 3rd and 6, and this will be the 8th play of the drive. He's back to throw. And that is incomplete.
With that incompletion, reality is staring them right in the face. This entire game is down to the next snap.
As expected, they're going for it to keep the drive alive. Touchdown! Michael Thomas, his 3rd touchdown of the game, his 8th on the year. And the Saints are an extra point away from tying this game here in the final minutes. Don't forget the extra point. It's up and good. And we are tied here in the 4th quarter. Set to go now with the kickoff. These two teams all even again as we continue in this wild 4th quarter. And that'll carry over the back line of the end zone for a touchback. The Tampa offense ready to get their drive started.
Well, partner, here it is. They've got the chance to win the game. You'd have to think they need to get it near the opposite 40 to have a chance to kick a game-winning field goal. We'll see what they can do.
And you're right about that, because if we look at it in macro, that's what it looks like. But I think in micro, the head coach has already asked the special teams coach, what is he feeling? What does he think? Where does he want the football? What's the yard line we have to get? And he's already relayed that to his quarterback and his offense. They know what the goal is. Now the key, can they get there?
Throw out right, hauled in by Arcega-Whiteside. And they bring him to the ground just shy of midfield. 15 yards as Tampa Bay picks up the first. Tell you what, he's been able to put the ball in some tight spots all game long. That throw, no different.
Yeah, a lot of people would call it a gutsy type of a throw. I think he looks at it as, I can do it, so it's not that big of a deal to me, and I'm going to keep firing.
Throwing now is Wilson. This complete to Langford.
And he'll be brought down on the other side of midfield at the 43.
The Bucs going to go ahead and use the second of their timeouts as the clock will stop with 21 seconds to go in the football game. Evans comes in motion right. Now Wilson. It's caught by Mike Evans. And he'll go out of bounds after taking it a little further down inside the 40. 7 yards there and a first down.
A little football 101.
And I believe the referee's been buzzed. Yeah, they want to take another look at this call, and it's certainly a big one here late in a tight game. So the folks in New York just going to wind up confirming what the official saw as this play will stand as is. Now here's a little touch pass as they tap it quickly to their receiver.
And he takes this just a few yards shy of the red zone before going out. First down Tampa Bay there, a gain of 13.
Boy, an effective play there, getting their wideouts involved in the run game.
And what they're always hoping on that type of a play, that they can get to the end of the line and have a chance to turn it upfield as he did there. That means they controlled the blocking and took care of the defensive end or the outside linebacker to give him that lane.
And I guess I need to clarify, I said getting their wideouts involved in the run game, but of course that was actually a pass as he popped it forward.
And he'll power his way forward for about 4 yards there on the first down carry. Now the timeout will be called, so they're in field goal range with 3 seconds left. And now it all rests on the right foot of their kicker. And a timeout comes in. The whistles blow with 3 seconds remaining. So on is their kicker, and it's down to this. With 3 seconds to go, this for the win. And his kick here is good. And it'll be a hot time in Ybor tonight. The Bucs have won the football game.
Well, this was a very close ball game at halftime, Charles, but in the second half, that offense kind of kicked things into another gear, and they were able to pull away for the victory.
And, Brandon, I think they're the type of team that just looked in the mirror and said, hey, ton of pressure on, but we're the type of team that can flat out handle it. They stood up with confidence, and made it happen for a victory.
So for the Bucs,
the final 3 weeks are going to tell the story for them as they move to 9-5 with the win.
And they'll get to stay put for a few days as they'll host the Chicago Bears next week. Meanwhile, for New Orleans, they'll drop to 9-5 on the year. And they'll try again next week at home against New England. I'm Brandon Gaudin. Certainly have to thank Charles Davis, my broadcast partner, and our entire crew. We'll catch you next time right here. It's the NFL on EA Sports.